Welcome back to another video. Today we're back on the Ferrari F12 and this is the second part of the series. Last time we had a look at stripping and preparing and some of the challenges we might be facing as we go through the job. Today we're going to hand over to Rocky and he's going to talk you through trimming some of the panels and the next steps in the project.
Before we start retrimming all the strip down, that we document everything, so we video the door panel. I can see where the stitch line's off, because once this cover's pulled off and maybe stretched out of shape, you lose all that information. So it's a really good point now to jot that down. We've removed the leather very carefully, not to upset the foam underneath. We've used heat for this and it deactivates the glue, so we can peel it off very, very carefully. But as you can see, that method upsets the leather we're taking off. It shrinks it in places. We can use this as reference on our patterns, but then again, we would stitch the whole door panel up, lay it back on the panel, make sure everything's perfect, make any adjustments we need to do, and then we'll spray glue it with water-based adhesives. Once that's gone off, we can warm that glue up and then work it into all these lovely little contours. I've sanded it and prepared it and got it ready for trimming, just taken off the top glued surface, and any high and low points I've just taken down. I'm going to just do this in an old technique with a hand glue gun. Normally you spray glue these, heat them up, and then the glue goes off, but it's quite a straightforward, easy panel. So as you can see, putting the glue on, you don't want to keep going over the top of your old glue because it balls up. I'm just putting a light layer on. I'd guess there's between 300 to 400 hours in retrimming this car. The height we're retrimming this F12 in, we're doing all the high panels, the headlining, all above the seat levels, is a nubuck. It's almost like suede to touch, and it's made by Connolly, and it's got the beautiful vermouth aroma. The trick is putting this glue on nice and evenly and not getting any lumps in the glue, because that will dry and show through the surface. We glue both sides of the panel. It gives a really, really great stick, and if you know your glues, you can actually play with the material on the panel and use a little bit of heat to liven it up. It's late in the evening now. We're going to lock up shop, and tomorrow we're going to start on the leather. I look forward to that. See you then. Welcome back. Today's a new day. I'd like to start with telling you a bit more about this lovely leather. It's been specially designed for this project by Connolly. This is a natural grain. It hasn't been embossed. The grain was enhanced in the crushing process. The tips have been polished to give this great effect. So I'm just marking out the hide so we can get the best cuts out of, because where there's faces, surfaces of dashboards, we don't want any unsightly blemishes. I've just laid the old leather that came off this door panel, the original leather. You can see where the top stitching was, and this is also 1mm thick. So we've had the leather skived down to 1mm. I'm going to start trimming this now, but we can't just use that as a pattern because it's been stretched pulling it off the job. It's been heated up as well and shrunk, so it's not a faithful representation of this door panel, but it will give us an idea of where the stitch lines went. So I'm just going to stretch around that top edge, and that stretch will help the material dive in. I just want to get a good, nice pull on it so I don't get a wobbly edge. So I use my thumb to the edge of my hand. So I'm not, if you pull it with your fingers, you kind of just leave a little dent in there. If you pull with the whole length of your hand, I'm pulling a section of sort of 3 inches at a time, and I don't get a wobbly edge. The leather wants to bunch up in this corner, so it's getting rid of that edge, which I look at it like this. If that's 100% a problem, I'll make it 50% a problem by just putting a So I've got 250s now, and I'll just keep stretching them into itself, and then I know what you're thinking, you make that look really easy. It's also a race against time with the glue going off. Again, this leather's been skived to 1mm, which makes it easier to get around these thicker corners because there's not such a build-up of leather. I'm using the old one as reference so I can see where my speaker holes went, so I'm just slicing through these points. Sort of, there's a lot of trimmers that can trim to this standard, but on the back of the panel we like it to look as nice, so it's all trimmed off nicely. All our cuts are on a 45 degree, and it just looks more pretty. So if anybody ever takes our work off, the back of the panels look as neat as the front. As you can see, the panel's been finished pretty at the back and ready to hang up, and this will go on the car when we finish trimming the door panels, and I'm pleased how that's come out. Our customer wasn't that keen on replicating these centres. It doesn't show off his beautiful leather well enough. So we've just knocked up some ideas to help him sort of understand or get a better feeling of what his seats could look like. The traditional Daytona seat centres, I've just done it with some stitch lines here and padded them. We like the way the leather looked over the contours. This is a bit more sort of going towards a Ferrari 308, 328 with these stitch lines. This is done on a single foot, so we just follow the curves nicely. When you've got a double foot machine trying to go around the same apex, it doesn't look quite like that. We're using this skin in the boot area, so we've just laid up some of these Daytona centres and then with black calico behind them and then clear ones. This is in normal thickness, and then we've done it in 1mm and then 0.8 just to see different finishes. Our customer has gone for this, so he likes to see that. We knocked up a couple more, again making these a bit more enhanced, a bit more 308 with square corners, round corners, but we're going to go for this shape. To make a Daytona seat strip like this, it starts off with leather cut to the right width we need, then we glue that up, we fold over the edge and then run down that with a wheel to compress it. So every strip on this seat has been done the same way. As you can see, the finish line on the back, and then each one will be stitched into the seat individually, so a lot of work to be done.
So there you go. You've seen Rocky talking through the process of trimming some of these parts and them being trimmed and installed into the car. Tune into the next video and you'll see the car coming together, the final few bits being trimmed and fitted, and see the finished result.